guest. But before we dive into this exciting interview, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Books to Life Marketing, the team making it all possible. They specialize in helping authors bring their stories to life through expert publishing, marketing, and media exposure. They're behind some of the most inspiring author journeys we've seen. And if you're an author looking to elevate your book, Books to Life Marketing is the partner you want in your corner. And our guest today is Joan Long. Her book is Daises Hope for Her Journey. Joan, thanks for stopping by. I just want to talk a little bit about you. You grew up in Randolph County, North Carolina. You graduated from Randleman High School in 1949. So here's an interesting story. My father graduated from my late father graduated from the Naval Academy in 1949. So that's a very, very important date for me, as well as my late father graduated in 1949 from the Naval Academy. She was married to Cecil Long for 62 years before his death in 2013. Mother of two, grandmother of seven. She lived in Chapel Hill, North Carolina for 67 years. Studied writing under author Manly Wade Wellman at the University of North Carolina, and a much, much more we're going to learn about you. Thank you again for stopping by, and I'm really excited to catch up with you today. Thanks, Joan.
Well, thank you.
All right, so let's kind of dive deep into this. What inspired you to write about Daisy's journey as a young widow during the Great Depression?
Well, I was born in 1931, so I I remember when the World War II started, and I remember when it finished. And along about that time, before the war, even the Great Depression was on, and I remember things. We were poor. We were farmer. My dad, we owned a farm, and my dad farmed, and we lived on mainly what we had to eat was what we had raised in our gardens, and also we always had a hog that we killed every year for food, and things like that. So um, I do remember a lot of that, and I'm 94 years old.
Wow. Yes. And wow, what longevity you have. What do you think is, your longevity? What do you think you owe it to yourself that at 94 years old and writing books still and being an author at this age, what keeps you going?
Well, I'm a Christian, and I think the Lord has blessed me as far as that, because there were seven of us children, and I'm the last of my family living. And Saturday, I went to a family reunion celebrating my only first cousin that I have, and she was 100 years old, and she is really lively.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. All right, let's jump to the next question. How much of Daisy's story is based on your real life events or people from your own family or community?
Yes, there. Uh, uh, yes, and no. Of course, these are fictional characters, but there were people. For instance, the mailman in the story and the book. We used to have a mailman that we didn't have telephones, so the mailman was always stopping by and uh, giving us information. My phone is ringing. Let me turn it off.
Well, I don't hear it, so that's okay. But now that's really uh,
America.
okay. Okay, so it's very interesting when you
America.
okay. Are you there?
Yeah, come from America.
Okay, so you'll have to kind of I'll edit that out, and we'll
America.
continue once you figure out what's going on with your phone.
I think I've got it off now.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so as we continue in this conversation and story, it's based on you and your family, and that's very, very interesting. And again, that time period, I can't even fathom in so many ways. And we're going to go into that further. What message or hope or resilience do you hope readers will take away from Daisy's channel challenges and triumphs?
Well, I think they will understand what happened during the Depression and World War II. And I like history anyway.
Me too.
And
Yeah.
and I think they will enjoy reading the book.
Right, and that's the thing. But some of these are real world things that happened to you that you grew up in, but you just made it your creativity to create Daisy as a character. Tell me, like, how much of Daisy is you?
Oh, I don't think I can answer that because that I've never been as you know after I grew up and went to work and then got married and everything. I've had a good life, and Daisy, uh, she raising her 4 children. Uh, she has been through many, many bad things to happen. But anyway, I don't know. When I was writing it, it just came to me, of things that had happened years and years ago.
Right, it's especially okay, and that's interesting. Was Daisy your age when this in the same time period as when you were Daisy's age in the character? Or is the character a little older than you?
um, I would say she was, yeah, well, she was older than me
Yeah.
because
So that's where you take certain
yeah,
yeah.
so because I remember these things that happened.
Right. Got it. So it could based on some of your other family members that were older that dealt with anything. How do you balance historical accuracy with storytelling when portraying farm life in the 1930s in North Carolina?
Well, many people raised tobacco in
Hmm.
North Carolina, but we didn't. And uh, I, I think at that time you had to have something that told you if your farm was able to raise tobacco. So my dad never did raise tobacco. We raised corn and wheat
Okay.
and things like of that sort.
Very, very interesting. Okay.
And that's what Daisy raised. she
Right.
didn't, she didn't raise tobacco.
Right. And tobacco was just a huge industry in the 1930s, wasn't it?
Yes.
Before control and different changes and farmers and what they could do and the whole thing for sure. Okay.
Mhm.
Daisy is raising 4 children on her own, which you talked about so far in this interview. What do you think her story teaches modern readers about motherhood and perseverance?
Well, to Daisy loved each one of her children, and each one had a different personality, and uh, they, I, I don't know, it just came to me as I was writing.
That's cute. I mean, I understand. It just came to you. And so let's kind of just take the historical time in the 1930s. This is right after the Great Depression. Is it take place?
Well, it's during the Depression is when I started it all. You know, her story. She has become a widow. Uh, her husband died, and she has these children to raise, but she has inherited this 300 acre farm from her grandfather,
Wow.
and she moved into the house that was had been her grandfather.
Growing up in the Depression, what do you want to share with people of how much more of a challenge it is than today when people complain about things going on today in present day?
Well, you have to uh, I know, things are kind of hard nowadays too. Money don't go very far. And back then, nobody had any money. Of course, there were some rich people that did, I suppose, but uh, just common folks that lived on farms and when I went to school, most everyone in my class came from farming. Well, they all did. The parents all farmed, and a lot of the children had to work hard on the farms and things of that sort.
So you're saying no one really had money except only a few people. And today, many people are struggling, but not to the level that there was no one that had money at
That's
that
right.
time.
Yes,
And so, like, certain people are struggling while others are not, but not to the magnitude of this during this period.
yes, that's true. That's very true.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of watched everything change. And that's got to be wild, right? Going
Yes,
back to writing this book and saying, oh my goodness, this a lot of things have changed.
yes. When I got out of high school, I went to work, and the most I ever made at that job, and I was there 5 years, was 32.50 a week.
I
Can
mean,
you imagine that?
can you bottle literally? I was watching a show and someone said, I'll buy this network for $4 million. And I'm like, okay, this is a long time ago because it'd be $1 billion now. It's amazing to see where money changes in just a few decades or more. I mean, it's been a long time since the Depression. Don't get me wrong. We're getting almost, coming into 100 years. Isn't that crazy? 100 years going in the 1930s very soon, being 2025 today. And where we are, wow, in so many ways. What do you think of the evolution of AI and stuff compared to today? Would you, if you would have told your younger self in the 1930s where technology would be and all these things, did you expect, because, science fiction, is it science fiction? Did it make science fact of what you thought this time period would be?
No, as I was growing up, I would never have believed that we would have jet airplanes. Uh, well, there was a few people. Well, there was some family that had a plane that I knew of, and best I remember, I got to ride in that plane one time, and oh, I thought that was wonderful. And but nowadays you can just hop on a plane and be across the country in no time.
And I think you're hoping this book will people so that they will be grateful for what they have after reading this.
That's right. Exactly.
That guess what? There are a lot of people in a lot worse situation than we are today, if we
Uh,
are in a bad situation.
yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
But there's so many more people now than there were back then.
I mean, if you could literally have a crystal ball to look back and look at what the future would be, go figure, right? Uh, um, so basically, let's go to what was the most difficult part of writing this book emotionally, and how did you overcome it?
I don't really remember. I was in a writers group of women, and we had to write something every month and read it at our meetings. And so that's what I would do. I'd write uh, maybe a whole chapter and things like that. And I don't know, it just all came to me, and I did have to look up some things, to make certain that I was not telling that I was telling the truth about what happened.
Oh, totally. And it'd be interesting to look at what AI would have thought in that research. Just as now we're seeing writers and how it's changed 2 years ago, right? 3 years ago, writing, if you were drafting the book at that point, Joan, now you would have so many more things you could add to the book and some of the memories based on how it jogs the memory. AI and stuff. So it's quite interesting how you can use it as a research tool through this process for sure. As a writer, it'd be interesting to see, what do you think of AI? And it's amazing to look at. You grew up in the Great Depression, and now we're at a point where somebody can push a button and get information in 2 seconds
That's right. Yeah, on their phones.
on their phones, on their computers,
Yeah,
anywhere, can have a conversation with a not a human being. It's crazy.
it is.
And so I think it's crazy, and I'm only 52. So go figure. So
Uh,
that's interesting. Now, this is interesting. That also makes you very intriguing, Joan. Did your Quaker background or research into Quaker community shape how you wrote about faith and community in the novel?
yes. I grew up in Providence Friends Meeting, and in fact, that's where I'm going to be buried. In the It's about 50 miles from where I live, and the church is still there, and the graveyard is still there, and that's where I'm going to be buried beside my husband and my mother, daddy, my grandparents, and on my mother's side. And uh, it's just, I'm so thankful that that church is still in existence.
Is that in North Carolina?
Yes, in North Carolina.
Where in North Carolina?
Near Randleman, North Carolina. That's where I went to school.
Okay.
It's out in the country. It's still country land up there where people still, they don't raise tobacco much around there anymore, I don't think, but uh, there are still farmers in that area.
Do you live in the country?
I don't live in the country. I live in uh, it's called Dogwood Acres. It's a housing development, but uh,
Okay.
it's a nice brick house that I have lived in all these years, and I'm I call it home, and I'm so glad I can.
So let's talk a little bit about, how do you, like, I'm interested in Quakers, okay? Because I have you on the line and we're enjoying this conversation for sure. And people need to definitely pick up your book. People might not understand. I mean, the Quaker religion has been around for a long time,
Long
right?
time,
And
yeah.
from Pennsylvania, you
Uh-huh.
hear the Quaker area, especially born and raised in Pittsburgh. Uh, what's the difference between Quaker and other Christian religions?
Uh, well, um, it's changed right much, I think. But during World War II, there were conscientious objectors because they didn't believe in war. But and some of the people from Providence Church, some men or young boys, I'd say, that was supposed to be drafted, they could use the escape from being drafted, but they had to go work in different places, and I included that in my book. That the uh, uh, one of Daisy's sons was a conscientious, and he had to go work. Well, I'll just tell the story a little bit about it. He had to go work in this terrible, terrible place where there were people that were didn't have any minds, and
Right.
it was just terrible. I reread my book yesterday.
Have you gotten as an audiobook, or that's maybe in the process of thinking of doing an audiobook?
No, I won't ever write any more books. I don't think.
No,
Uh,
I got it. Well, this book will be the one that, you want to get out to everyone. And I really am enjoying this conversation. So Quakers misunderstood. So more of the peace-filled, non-war partisan, more I'd say conservative Christian, right? In like rules and plain clothes. Do you still have that as much as Quakers?
No, the ladies can wear pants to church.
So that's changed.
Yeah, that's changed. Yeah, and uh, I've not been in Quaker churches much, since I moved here. And my husband and I did start a church, but it was a non-denominational church.
Okay. But so it was not a Quaker church.
No,
Interesting.
it wasn't a Quaker church.
That's really intriguing, I think. It was not a Quaker church. Interesting. But now you're back to your Quaker church roots. So that's got to be
Yeah, that's
interesting
right.
going back. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on going back to the church you grew up in?
I love to go back there because it brings back a lot of memories,
Mhm.
And once I get to go back there about a couple times a year. In the summertime, in July, they always have what they call homecoming, and I got to go this year. The church that I grew up in, Providence Friends Meeting, has become very small because the older people have died, and there's many other churches around, Baptists, Methodists, and all
Yeah.
like that. And and a lot of people like to go to the cities, to go to church instead of in the community where they live.
I find this is tremendous. In so many ways. What do you hope most your readers get out of this book?
The history part of
Mhm.
what happened in from about 1930 up until the war was over. Uh, let's see, what year did it end? I can't think of it. 1940,
41?
no, that's when it began, wasn't it?
Oh
No,
yeah,
uh,
40. I forget.
about 45.
So yeah. No, that's I'm not going to remember dates, that's for sure. But this is, I mean, I think that's what you hope is the history, and I think it's so important. And I think also the North Carolina roots for people in the North Carolina area listening or watching this podcast radio show. It really relates to North Carolina as well. Isn't that correct, ma'am?
Say that again because this cell phone is
No,
ringing.
no, no. Just to make sure you can hang that up. So I was saying North Carolina, ma'am, is an area of the country that will really enjoy your book because of the history that you talk about of North Carolina in this, right?
I hope so.
I mean, that's a big audience, right, of people who would relate. Are there specific landmarks you mentioned and things like that in that nature that are just only to North Carolinians in ways?
Yes, I would think so. See, I changed the names of the little towns
Oh,
and
you did.
things like
Okay.
that. Yeah. Uh, uh,
All right. Well,
um, the, the part of North Carolina that I grew up in hasn't changed a great deal because they're south of Greensboro, North Carolina, if you know where that is.
yeah.
Greensboro's the nearest city. And so, and the little town of Randleman that I went to high school in, it has not changed a great deal. But anyway,
Abs-
I hope people will enjoy hearing what or reading what happened way back.
All right. Well, we really appreciate this. It was a really interesting conversation, Joan. Best place people can connect with you. Where can they go to? Do you have a website or go pick up the book on Amazon?
Yeah, I have a website, and but I won't be selling my books much. I don't think on that, but they will. Mia Pia has told me where all they will go to these different book. Uh,
All right. I'll have a link in the comments with the link to your website and stuff. We appreciate it, Joan. Thank you again.
Well, thank you so much for
All right.
for
You're
doing
welcome.
this.